What's up guys? My name is Ariel and I'm an herbalist, and once again this week I'm going to take y'all on a walk in the woods and talk about medicinal and edible plants that we might find. And if we don't find any edible or medicinal plants, we can still talk about like the interesting flowers and trees we find along the way. This week we are going back to the swamp park that I mentioned last week, and this week I'm going to show you way more of it. Swamps are one of the three types of wetlands. The other two types are marshes and bogs. Swamps are interesting because they have trees all year round and a little bit of water drainage. So this swamp we're going to has some constant creeks, and they're really beautiful and full of flowers and frogs and all those cute things. It's a place that's very full of life, and especially this time of year in May has a lot of new growth and beautiful things to look at. I am rambling again like I do, so I'm just gonna get into it and show you guys what it's like there. Last time I was here I felt awkward because there was like other people walking around, and I never want to film other people because you shouldn't do that, and also because it feels super weird like talking to yourself in public, but that's alright. I'm gonna show you some stuff. Yeah. We have a nice stump here. Okay, first up we have our native horsetail plant, and as you can see, it looks like a horse's tail. Well, honestly, I think it looks like a raccoon tail, but that is neither here nor there. Let's see if there's more. Here's a more fully fleshed out one. Horsetail is high in silica and wonderful for your hair, nails, and skin. It also can help kidney function. However, you have to be careful with horsetail and not have too much of it. The new horsetail sprouts look so weird. Anyway, you have to be careful about horsetail and not have too much. Too much horsetail contains a compound called thiaminase, which interferes with your body's ability to use thiamine, vitamin B1, and that can make you very sick. I believe there is a disease called beriberi, so just remember, too much beriberi, very sick. Wow, that was horrible. Anyway, go easy on the horsetail, but definitely take it as like a small amount supplement for pretty hair and skin and nails. Guys, I'm so happy I found the first honeysuckle of the season. Here I am trying to show you the beautiful, delicate little yellow-orange flowers of this climbing vine that has turned into basically a tree. In Chinese medicine, we call honeysuckle Jin Yin Hua, which means gold silver flower, and it is famous for reducing febrile diseases and even saving young children from death from such, young people fever type diseases. As kids, we would always take the little insides of the honeysuckle out and kind of suck the sweet liquid inside. It was just like something kids do. But they're not quite old enough for that yet, so I won't do it today. Honeysuckle is actually a vine. The stand I showed you is really big and old, so it looks more like a tree. I almost thought this was a May lily at first, because the May lilies are all around it. But the May lilies have shiny leaves, and this has little fuzzy leaves and kind of a whip-like stalk that's going to start looping around everything it comes in contact to. This beautiful lily plant is actually not a lily at all. It is in the asparagus family, and it is technically called false lily of the valley, but I call it wild lily of the valley, and so do lots of other people because I believe it is beautiful on its own. The Native Americans in this region used the fruit for treating tuberculosis, although it is not very good and possibly toxic in high amounts, but hey, treating tuberculosis is great. And this is just me showing you a violet because it's pretty, but we are back to the May lily leaves, which are great as poultices to treat wounds and cuts and sores and burns. So you just chew them up and put them on your wounds. Additionally, the root of the wild or false lily of the valley was used for fertility, like reversing sterility in the Native Americans around here, and I guess they just made like a strong tea out of it. It's hard to find information, but this is what the berries look like when they're almost ripe, and apparently they're not that good, but technically edible. I wouldn't eat too many. Well, this next plant certainly is not edible nor medicinal, and honestly, I was very surprised to find it in my local park because it is the infamous giant hogweed. This guy was, up to my height, and I know it can get up to twice my height, and I don't want to be anywhere close it because giant hogweed has lots of caustic compounds. They could burn my face and skin and, just even from touching it, so you definitely don't want to ingest it because it could be fatally poisonous, and it is a noxious weed in our area. The way you identify giant hogweed is because it has both purple splotches on its stem, kind of like poison hemlock, which is its cousin, but it also has a lot of fuzz on it, and I just recognized it because it was so darn large and scary. And here we have a buttercup. Why do you build me up, buttercup baby? Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, buttercup is poisonous. It is in the Ranunculaceae family. It is a cousin of the hibiscus flower, which is wonderful and edible. But buttercup is not. We can still enjoy its beauty though. It's kind of invasive in our gardens, which is irritating, but here in its natural swamp environment, I'm fine with it. It can go wild. Buttercups are one of those poisonous plants that don't really have many edible or medicinal uses, well, none, but they do have some ritual uses, like certain Native American tribes use them to induce vomiting in ceremonies. And similarly, this old British manuscript of herbs recommended that buttercup not be taken internally, but that it might have some pain benefits if used very diluted. In the Celtic holiday Beltane, buttercup is rubbed on cows' udders to make them produce more milk. And another Celtic myth is that if you hold a buttercup under your chin, it will reflect yellow. Fact check true, and it is said that that means you like butter. And well, I tried it and I like butter.
So what?
Takes a lot of maintenance for parks like this. They have to go in and kind of chop everything down so it doesn't become completely overgrown like a tunnel. Some wild grasses. I love all the buttercups. Oh my goodness. And our beautiful skunk cabbages. They're not in bloom yet, but when they are, it's gonna look like space weed. But don't you try to smoke it, kids. Oh no, no, no. This skunk cabbage has oxalates in it, much like rhubarb, in which you're not really supposed to eat it raw. And be careful eating it in general in excess quantities, because these oxalates can interact with calcium in your bloodstream and your muscles and make your muscles not work, eventually leading to death in high enough amounts. I had a good friend way back in the day who, when I told him that skunk cabbage was technically edible if cooked, he decided just to have a bite of it raw. And I was like, no, stop. But he did it anyway, and his mouth burned and tingled and he couldn't feel his tongue. But if you take the time to boil the leaves and serve them like you would a normal cabbage, well, then that might just make a lovely swamp meal. Enjoy. Thank you guys for tuning in again this week. And next week we are going to be doing something else that's cool. I don't know what yet, but stick around for it. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share my videos. It helps me emotionally, if not financially. And I appreciate you all. And I will see you next week. Okay, bye!